You were raised on a lie, that the world is basically kind, that if you keep your head down, work hard, and stay a good person, life will somehow take care of you. Look around. The evidence says otherwise. There's the corporate worker, draining himself for a company that would replace him in a week, smiling in his performance review while they quietly calculate how little they can pay to keep him obedient. There's the man who buries his own dreams so he can be reliable, the safe option, the rock, until the day he stops entertaining or exciting her, and she walks away to someone who never sacrificed half as much. And there's the citizen, maybe you, glued to screens, outrage, and consumption, while decisions about your money, your privacy, your future are made in rooms you will never enter. None of this is accidental. Governments need predictable taxpayers who don't revolt. Corporations need exhausted consumers who keep buying and workers who won't walk away. Platforms need you angry, addicted, and scrolling so they can sell your attention. Even some families need you weak enough to keep playing your assigned role. It is structurally beneficial for the world if you are obedient, emotionally reactive, and too distracted or guilty to rebel. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this dynamic centuries ago. Writing for princes, he explained not how to be good, but how to manage people, how fear, rewards, and appearances keep the masses in line. He noted that men judge more by what they see than by what truly is. If it looks stable and caring, they will not question whose interests it really serves. The world doesn't care if you are happy. It cares if you are useful and compliant. As long as you keep functioning, consuming, and obeying, your private misery is just background noise. Most people will live and die as obedient cogs, domesticated so completely they call their cage security and their chains responsibility. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. You stop confusing compliance with morality and comfort with safety. This video is about learning to see those chains and break them strategically. But before we talk about becoming ruthless, we have to redefine what that actually means. Because if you get this part wrong, you don't become free, you just become another kind of slave. In the next minutes, you're going to confront a darker definition of ruthlessness, one that doesn't turn you into a monster, but forces you to stop living like a domesticated pet, asking politely for permission to exist on your own terms. That shift is where obedience ends and real power, grounded in clarity and self-respect, finally begins for you. You hear the word ruthless and your mind jumps straight to villains. Manipulation, betrayal, cold-hearted people who burn everyone to get what they want. Add Machiavelli on top of that, and it sounds like an instruction manual for sociopaths. No wonder good people pull back the moment they hear it. But here's the thing. Machiavelli wasn't inventing cruelty. He was describing how power actually moves. He stripped away the fairy tales. Ignoring that doesn't make the world kinder. It just makes you blind to how it really works. While you cling to a fantasy of fairness, other people are already using strategy, leverage, and psychology on you. In this video, ruthless does not mean heartless. It means precise. Ruthless with your time, no more endless favors, no more giving hours to people and habits that drain you. Ruthless with your boundaries, no more laughing off disrespect, no more tolerating people who only show up when they need something. Ruthless with your self-pity and excuses, no more telling the same sad story to avoid taking responsibility. Machiavelli wrote that a man must learn how not to be good when circumstances demand it. That doesn't mean becoming evil. It means understanding that naive goodness in a predatory environment is self-destruction. The target here is not random strangers. The target is the systems, the beliefs, and the patterns that keep you weak and obedient. You are not here to become a predator. You are here to stop living like prey. Refusing to develop this kind of ruthless clarity doesn't make you pure, it makes you programmable. Powerful people already think this way about you. The question is whether you'll stay blind to it. So if the world uses your obedience, how does it leash you? Through 4 chains. Control today rarely needs bars or guards. Your body is free to move. Your mind is not. The world discovered something smarter than walls. If it can shape your fears, your guilt, your comforts, and your attention, it can own you without ever touching you. You don't feel captured, you feel normal. There are 4 main chains you need to see. The first is fear of conflict and rejection. You've been trained to believe that upsetting people is dangerous, that saying no is rude, that disagreement is disrespect. Fear keeps you quiet when you should assert yourself, obedient when you should negotiate, present when you should walk away. The second, guilt and moral manipulation. You are taught that being good means serving everyone else first. That script is easy to weaponize. Guilt keeps you doing unpaid emotional labor, funding other people's bad decisions, and staying small while you call it virtue. The third chain is comfortable dependence. A job that just covers the bills, a relationship that's not great but not horrific, entertainment that numbs but never nourishes. Comfort keeps you dependent on systems, habits, and people that drain you, because the pain of leaving feels worse than the slow bleed of staying. The fourth chain is distraction and information overload. You are drowning in content, opinions, and outrage. Your attention is hacked from the moment you wake up. Distraction keeps you too mentally scattered to plan an escape, too tired to build anything of your own. Machiavelli wrote that rulers should use fear, rewards, and appearances to keep subjects controlled. Modern systems do the same. They threaten you with social and financial loss, reward your compliance with comfort and dopamine, and wrap your chains in the appearance of morality and being informed. That's what makes these chains so dangerous. They are sold to you as virtues. Being nice, being selfless, being loyal, being plugged in. If you can't see them, you will spend your life fighting the wrong battles, wondering why change feels impossible. Once you name a chain, you can cut it. Until then, you simply polish it and call it responsibility or love. Let's start with the first shackle, your fear of conflict and disapproval from others. You weren't born afraid of conflict. That was trained into you. As a child, you were praised for being quiet, obedient, easy to handle. When you questioned something, you heard "don't talk back." When you showed anger, you were called disrespectful. You learned that harmony at any price is safer than honesty. Now you see the adult version. You don't negotiate salary because you're scared they'll label you ungrateful or difficult. You don't leave a toxic relationship because you fear being alone or judged. You swallow truths, lower your standards, and smile through situations that are slowly killing your self-respect. Fear is a lever. People in power don't need to hit you. They only have to threaten your status, belonging, or security. Machiavelli wrote that it is safer for a ruler to be feared than loved, because fear is a stronger motivator. The world already uses fear to control you. It's time to flip the frame. You don't need people to fear you as a person, but they should quietly fear disrespecting or exploiting you because they know you will walk. Healthy ruthlessness doesn't mean starting chaos. It means you stop running from necessary conflict. You become willing to disappoint, to disagree, to say no, that doesn't work for me, and hold the line. Picture two employees. One never challenges unfair treatment and gets stacked with work, passed over, and discarded. The other calmly presents facts, suggests alternatives, and states what they will and won't accept. Management may not adore them, but they respect the risk of pushing too far. If you can't tolerate someone being upset with you, anyone can own you just by threatening disapproval. Your fear of rocking the boat is exactly why you're stuck cleaning it instead of steering it. But fear isn't the only leash. Even when you find courage, another voice drags you back. Guilt, the script that says choosing yourself makes you a bad person, that you were given a script for being a good person's. And it sounded harmless. Always help. Don't say no. Forgive and forget. Put family and community above yourself every time. On paper, it looks noble. In practice, it turns you into an exhausted resource that everyone feels entitled to use. You've felt it. The family member who shames you when you don't send money, even though you're barely stable yourself. The parent who says, "After everything I've done for you," anytime you set a boundary. The partner who calls you selfish or not supportive the moment you stop tolerating their chaos. The manager who praises you as a team player while quietly handing you the work no one else wants and none of the reward. Guilt is their leash. It keeps you working against your own interests while you congratulate yourself for being kind. Machiavelli understood this dynamic clearly. He wrote that men are driven by their own interests, and they will happily dress those interests in the clothing of virtue. People will talk about loyalty, sacrifice, and love when what they really want is compliance, free labor, and access to your time and resources. If you let other people define what good means, they will always define it in a way that keeps you useful to them. That's why you need a new frame. There is a difference between toxic selfishness and strategic self-respect. Toxic selfishness uses people like tools. Strategic self-respect means you recognize that your energy, money, and mental health are limited, and you treat them as resources you are morally obligated to protect. Because if you destroy yourself to keep everyone else comfortable, you don't become holy. You become a burden or a tool they eventually discard. Picture saying no to a financially reckless family request. They call you selfish, cold, ungrateful. But that one refusal keeps you out of debt, lets you build savings, and protects the family you may create in the future. That is not cruelty. That is long-term responsibility. People don't need you to be good. They need you to be predictable, and guilt is how they keep you in your place. Fear and guilt keep you from breaking away. But there is another chain that makes captivity feel pleasant, the soft, numbing pull of comfort. As guilt defines your morality, you will drain yourself for people who would never bleed for you. To break that spell, you must question who benefits each time you do the right thing. Modern life has given you a comfortable cage and taught you to worship it. You might hate your job, but it's stable. The pay is average, the work is dull, but there's health insurance, free coffee, maybe a gym discount, and a yearly company party. Just enough perks to keep you quiet. You tell yourself, it's fine, while a decade disappears. Outside of work, the pattern repeats. You settle for low-effort relationships that require no real growth. You sedate yourself with junk food, porn, alcohol, and endless scrolling. Your days blur into a cycle of mild frustration, followed by artificial relief. Nothing is satisfying, but nothing is catastrophic either, and that is exactly the problem. These are golden handcuffs. You hate the position you're in, but you fear losing your comforts more than you hate your chains. You trade your potential for a numbed, predictable existence. Machiavelli saw this centuries ago in the form of bread and circuses, cheap entertainment, and basic comforts to keep the masses from revolting. Today's rulers don't have to throw festivals in the arena. They give you streaming platforms, fast food, dopamine dripping through every app on your phone. He observed that people care more about immediate comfort than about long-term freedom or honor. That weakness is exploited every day. To become ruthless in the right way, you must turn that insight on yourself. You have to be ruthless with your laziness and indulgence, willing to endure boredom, effort, even fear in exchange for real power and options later. Picture two paths. On one, you stay in that mediocre job because it's fine. 10 years vanish and you've built nothing you control. On the other path, you accept a period of discomfort, learning skills at night, saving aggressively, building a side income, taking calculated risks. For a while you are more tired, less entertained, less comfortable. But 5 years later, you have leverage, mobility, and choices. If you can't endure discomfort, you will always be owned by whoever controls your comfort. Comfort is the softest prison. Most men never escape it because it never hurts enough to feel like chains. And even when you start to question it, there is one more chain designed to keep you too scattered to act: constant distraction. Your phone, your feeds, your endless notifications are not harmless. They are tools to slice your attention into pieces so small you can't build anything real. A scattered mind cannot plan rebellion. It can only chase the next stimulus. You open your eyes, and your hand reaches for your phone before your brain fully wakes up. Notifications, messages, updates, drama. Before you've even stood up, half a dozen apps have already told your mind what to think about. At work, your focus is sliced to pieces by group chats, emails, pings, breaking news, urgent but pointless tasks. In the evening, whatever energy you have left is dissolved into scrolling, gaming, jumping from clip to clip, outrage to outrage, laugh to laugh. You tell yourself you're relaxing, staying informed, staying connected. In reality, your attention is being harvested. This constant noise doesn't just waste time. It destroys the one thing required for power: sustained focus. A scattered brain can't plan long-term, can't reflect deeply, can't execute serious moves. It can only react. Machiavelli understood that rulers didn't always need brute force to control people. They didn't have to censor everything if they could simply flood their subjects with games, festivals, and distractions. Confusion and overstimulation prevent organized resistance. Today, the same principle runs on a screen in your hand. He warned that those who lack foresight live day to day, blown around by fortune. That is what endless information turns you into. Pattern. To become ruthless in the right way, you must be ruthless with your attention diet. That means limiting inputs, Turning off non-essential notifications. Creating blocks of time where your phone is away and your mind is fully on one task, one problem, one plan. Imagine two men over 5 years. One is constantly online, knows every meme, every trend. He is informed about everything and has built nothing. The other filters ruthlessly, a few high-quality sources, no endless feeds, regular silent time to think and execute one serious plan. 5 years later, one has a rich consumer history and an anxious mind. The other has assets, skills, and options. If they own your attention, they own your future. You will die busy, entertained, and forgettable. Most people are not weak. They are simply never focused long enough to realize how strong they could become. You've now seen the chains, fear, guilt, comfort, distraction. The next step is defining what it actually looks like to break them and become ruthless in a way that makes you untouchable, not monstrous, so that your life bends around your strategy instead of your impulses. Ruthless isn't a mood. It's a set of habits that you repeat until the world has to treat you differently. An apex thinker doesn't just feel powerful. He lives by a different code. He is ruthless in 5 specific areas: time, standards, self-pity, inputs, and loyalty. Master these, and your life starts to bend toward your will instead of other people's convenience. First, ruthless with time. Your hours are no longer free for anyone to claim. You stop giving evenings and weekends to people, obligations, and empty entertainment that do nothing for your values, money, body, or mind. You still relax, but you do it on purpose, not by default. When friends push you to blow another fun but pointless weekend on mindless partying, you choose differently. You stay home to build a skill, write, train, or push your side project forward. They laugh now. They won't be laughing when your discipline buys you a life they can't touch. Second, ruthless with standards. You decide what the minimum acceptable treatment is in relationships, work, and with yourself, and you enforce it. You don't argue about your worth. You walk away from places that refuse to recognize it. That means ending the situationship that keeps stringing you along, no matter how strong the chemistry feels. If someone wants your body and your energy, but not your commitment in public, that's a standard violation, not a complicated romance. You don't negotiate there, you exit. Third, ruthless with self-pity. You are allowed to hurt, to be angry, to grieve. You are not allowed to live there. When something goes wrong, your first question is no longer why me, but now what? You get betrayed at work. Someone steals your idea, and you feel that familiar sting of humiliation. You process it, you learn who they really are, and then you turn it into and fuel. You use it to sharpen your boundaries, your strategy, your ambition, instead of repeating the story for sympathy. Fourth, ruthless with inputs. You guard what enters your mind with the same seriousness you would guard your home. Friends, content, environments, conversations, everything is a filter. You mute the toxic group chat that only complains and gossips. You cut back on creators who keep you outraged but never more effective. You replace 2 hours of scrolling every night with reading, planning, and execution. The result isn't instant dopamine. It's a quieter mind that can actually think, notice patterns, and commit to a plan without being yanked in 10 directions. Fifth, ruthless with loyalty. You stop treating loyalty as worship and start treating it as a contract. mutual respect, mutual benefit, mutual risk. You remain loyal to people who are loyal to you and to your future self. That means you can care about a long-time boss and still leave when it's clear the company will never promote you beyond a certain point. It means you can appreciate old friends, yet step back when their choices drag you away from the life you're building. Machiavelli advised rulers to choose allies based on reliability and aligned interests, rather than pretty words. You do the same. You look at patterns, not promises. Through all 5 traits, understand this. Nothing here requires you to be cruel or heartless. It requires you to be clear, consistent, and unbribable. Most people never fully develop even one of these traits. They stay soft with time, messy with standards, addicted to self-pity, open to every input, and loyal to people and places that stunt them. When you become ruthless with all 5, you stop quietly complying with a script that weakens you and start living like a strategist whose life moves in the direction of his decisions, not his fears. When you start living like this, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of the world and start seeing yourself as a truly sovereign mind. For most of your life, you've played the role the world wrote for you. You were domesticated into a reactive pawn, always responding, rarely initiating, constantly adjusting yourself to keep everyone else comfortable. You over-explained every decision, over-apologized for existing, gave your time and energy to people who gave back the minimum. Your nervous system was trained to obsess over being liked and to panic at the thought of being judged. That was the before version of you, obedient, anxious, easy to steer. The after looks very different. As an apex thinker, you respond calmly and deliberately instead of instantly. You don't justify simple boundaries with long essays. You give short explanations or none at all and let them be enough. You are willing to be misunderstood, even disliked, if the price of approval is self-betrayal. You start to feel like what you truly are becoming: strategically intelligent, emotionally untouchable, a sovereign mind moving through a chaotic world. This identity isn't about ego or pretending to be above everyone. It is about responsibility. No one is coming to save you. Your life is your strategy, your choices, your discipline. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must rely on his own arms and his own judgment, not on the goodwill of others. The moment he forgets that, he is finished. The same is true for you. You still feel, care, and connect, but you no longer hand anyone the keys to your mind, your time, or your future. Most people never update their identity. They stay the obedient version their environment built, and that is why nothing changes. Once you see yourself as sovereign, begging for permission starts to feel disgusting. But identity only becomes real when your behavior changes. So here is how you start breaking these chains in practical, small ways that prove to you who you truly are becoming. Information without action is just another distraction. If you stop here, this video will fade like every other motivation hit you've watched. For the next 7 days, you're going to cut your first chain. Choose the one that clearly owns you most: fear, guilt, comfort, or distraction. Then pick one small, specific behavior that directly opposes it. If your chain is fear, have one uncomfortable conversation or say one honest no each day. If it's guilt, refuse one guilt-based request and sit in the discomfort without rescuing the other person. If it's comfort, replace 30 minutes of numbing, scrolling, porn, junk with something that builds leverage, learning, training, planning. If it's distraction, set 2 daily blocks where your phone is away and your mind is on one task only. Every night, journal what felt hardest, how people reacted, and what you noticed about your conditioning. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is proof that you can act against habit, fear, and guilt. If you don't do this, your old patterns will swallow this video in 48 hours, and you'll be exactly where you started. The distance between who you are and who you want to be is measured in the risks you're willing to take. Next, we'll close with one final reframing and your next move forward. The truth is simple. The world wants you weak and obedient because you are easier to control that way. In this video, you've seen the 4 chains that keep you domesticated and the 5 ruthless traits that break them. You understand now that fear, guilt, comfort, and distraction are not random. They are mechanisms that keep you profitable, predictable, and quiet. The goal is not to become a villain. The goal is to stop being prey. Your ruthlessness exists for protection, clarity, and purpose, not for playing with people's lives. Machiavelli said, "A man must learn how not to be good when necessity forces him." For you, that means learning to stop being naive when reality turns dark, not abandoning your conscience. You get to choose honor, but you choose it with your eyes open. If this made the game visible, going back to sleep is a choice. Once you see the leash, staying on it is on you. The world will keep trying to tame you. You decide if you stay a pet or become a strategist. Comment, "My mind is sovereign," if this hit you. Tell me which chain you're cutting first and what action you'll take this week. If you want more ethical strategy like this, subscribe and stay in the fight. I refuse to be domesticated. My mind is sovereign. I choose strategy over obedience. My kindness has boundaries. I am ruthless with my time and my standards. I see the chains and I choose to break them. I think like an apex strategist. Drop this in the comments. If this hits you, I refuse to be domesticated. Tell me in the comments which chain you're cutting first: fear, guilt, comfort, or distraction, and what one action you'll take this week. Comment, "I see the game now," if this finally explained why doing everything right still kept you feeling weak and controlled.